The snow fell gently on Christmas Eve as Marcus Wellington walked through the quiet park, his expensive coat dusted with white flakes. At 45, he had built an empire from nothing, but tonight he carried only a simple paper bag containing a sandwich he would never eat. The loneliness that had followed him for years felt heavier somehow, surrounded by the magic of Christmas. The park was nearly empty except for the distant glow of holiday lights strung between the bare trees. Marcus had always found solace here, when the weight of boardrooms and empty penthouses became too much to bear. He paused at his usual bench, brushing away the snow. "Excuse me, sir?" The small voice made him turn. A little girl stood a few feet away, maybe 6 years old, with blonde braids peeking from beneath a knitted hat. She wore a gray sweater under a pale pink pinafore dress, her cheeks rosy from the cold. But it was her eyes that stopped him completely. They held a sadness far too deep for someone so young. "Are you lost, sweetheart?" Marcus asked, gently, kneeling to her level. The child shook her head, fidgeting with the hem of her dress. "My name is Emma. I was wondering if you could help me with something very important." Marcus glanced around, looking for parents or guardians, but they were alone in this snowy corner of the world. "What do you need help with, Emma?" She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "Can you be my daddy for one night? Just tonight, for Christmas Eve?" The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He studied her face more carefully, noting the careful way she held herself, the premature wisdom in her green eyes. This was not the whim of a child playing pretend. "Where are your parents, Emma?" he asked softly. "Mama is in heaven," she said simply. "And I do not have a daddy. The nice lady at the children's home said I could make a Christmas wish, so I walked here to the wishing tree." She pointed to a large oak decorated with twinkling lights. "I wished for a daddy who would read me a story and tuck me in just like other children have." Marcus felt his throat tighten. He had spent decades building walls around his heart, protecting himself from the disappointment of failed relationships and the pain of knowing he might never have a family of his own. Yet this brave little girl, with her honest request, was asking him to tear those walls down in a single evening. "Emma, I am not sure I would be very good at being a daddy, even for one night," he said carefully. She tilted her head, considering this. "Do you know how to read stories?" "Yes." "Do you know how to make hot chocolate?" Marcus smiled despite himself. "I think I could figure that out." "Then you would be perfect," Emma said with the absolute certainty that only children possess. "I promise I will be very good. I just want to know what it feels like to have someone who cares about me for Christmas." In that moment, Marcus saw himself at her age, alone in various foster homes, watching other families celebrate while he remained on the outside. The memory of that profound loneliness made his decision for him. "All right, Emma," he said, extending his hand. "But we need to let the people at the children's home know where you are. They must be worried about you." Her face lit up like the Christmas lights around them. "Really? You will be my daddy tonight?" "Yes," Marcus said, surprised by how right the word felt. "I will be your daddy tonight." They walked together toward the park entrance, Emma's small hand trustingly placed in his. She chattered about her favorite stories and how she had learned to braid her own hair because there was no one else to do it. Each innocent revelation added another crack to the armor around Marcus's heart. At his penthouse apartment an hour later, after making the necessary calls to ensure Emma was safe and accounted for, Marcus found himself seeing his sterile, perfect home through the eyes of a child. The expensive artwork and minimalist furniture suddenly seemed cold and unwelcoming. "This is a very big house," Emma observed, standing in the marble foyer. "Do you live here all by yourself?" "I do," Marcus admitted. "It gets quite lonely sometimes," Emma nodded solemnly. "I understand about being lonely." Marcus showed her to the guest room, which he quickly transformed with extra blankets and pillows. While Emma explored, he called his housekeeper and asked her to bring some children's books and hot chocolate supplies. The woman, who had worked for him for years, heard something different in his voice and asked no questions. By evening, they sat together on the large sofa, Emma curled against his side as he read from a book of Christmas stories. Her head grew, heavy, against his shoulder, and he found himself adjusting his voice to a gentler cadence, the way he imagined fathers did. "Marcus?" she murmured sleepily. "Yes, sweetheart? Thank you for being my daddy tonight. It feels just like I imagined it would." Marcus looked down at this precious child who had wandered into his life and changed everything in the span of a few hours. For the first time in years, his house felt like a home. For the first time ever, he felt like he truly mattered to someone. "Thank you, Emma," he whispered, "for teaching me what it means to be needed." As she drifted off to sleep in his arms, Marcus made a silent promise. Tomorrow, he would begin the process of becoming her daddy not just for one night, but for all the nights to come. Sometimes, he realized, the greatest gifts come from the smallest hands and the most honest hearts. The snow continued to fall outside, but inside, a lonely CEO and a brave little girl had found exactly what they had been searching for all along.